Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flyin Miata garage. In today's episode, we're installing an MX5Things auto roll-up window controller. Now there are two different versions of this controller. One fits soft tops, one fits RFs. In this case, we're installing an RF unit. The difference really only is in the firmware. The installation is all but the same. So we're going to show it on an RF, but this will also apply to your soft top. All right, now let's go over the components of the kit. It's fairly simple. The main component is the controller module itself. We have the jumper harness. We have one additional harness that is solely responsible for allowing key fob control. And we have a USB to micro USB cable if we want to change any of the settings. And similar to the components list, the tool list is also fairly simple. We have a 10mm socket to be able to disconnect the negative battery terminal. We have a Phillips screwdriver. In this case, I have a long bit installed to an electric driver. You can use a manual version as well. And I have a couple different types of trim panel removal tools. Ideally, you want to use plastic. Just to make sure we're protecting, since we are dealing with interior parts, we don't want to damage any plastic. Now, one other tool you might use is a laptop. That depends on whether or not you want to change the settings off of the default. Now, to see those default settings and what other settings are available to you, please see our website or the included instructions. If you wish to make changes to the settings, it's actually easiest to do this at the bench before you install the module. You do not need to have the module plugged into the car's power source to be able to program it. You only need the USB cable provided. So what you'll want to do is you're going to download the software from our site. It will download in a zip file format. If you open up that zip file, you'll see an executable program called ws6_config. I usually copy and paste that over to my desktop, so it's easier to find later on if needed. Okay, now with your module still unplugged from the computer, open up the software. With the software open and the module unplugged, find the COM port drop-down list toward the top of the program screen and determine what COM options are there. Now, plug in your device and you should see an additional new COM option, in this case COM 7. That is going to be our module. Let's select COM 7 and hit the connect button adjacent to it. Now we are connected to our configuration window and we have the ability to make changes as needed. Once done, be sure to hit disconnect before closing the program. Now we're ready to install. All right, now our first step at the car is to lower the windows and lower the top. Once that's done, we'll move under hood and we'll disconnect the negative battery terminal. So I'll do that now. All right, now we need to remove the driver's side door panel. To do this, there's a plastic panel inside of the door cup here. We'll be pulling that. There's also a rubber tray inside of the handle portion of the door, and we'll remove that. Removing both of those exposes two screws that will also need to be removed. So I'll use my plastic trim tool here. Get this popped out. Now that we have the door cup and the handle tray removed, we have access to two Phillips screws. We'll remove those now. All right, with those screws removed, the last thing holding the door panel to the door is a series of plastic clips. Now they'll go around the whole perimeter of the door, except for across the top. So we'll use either a combination of our hands or plastic trim tools to get those unclipped. Now that I've got the clips all popped off, the only thing holding the door panel on is that it's overhanging the top edge of the door. So if we lift up a little bit, that will separate it. Now we don't want to pull away too quickly because we are still attached both the window wiring and the door handle. For the door handle, we'll just come in here, gently pry back, and then pull toward the rear of the door. And now we have 2 electrical plugs for the window switch. Now we can separate our door card. All right, first let's install the module. I have the jumper harness plugged into the module. And I also have the Velcro patch to be able to stick it to the door once we have a suitable home. So there are 2 large female connectors, 2 large male connectors. Those are going to plug into the window switch and to the window switch plugs. And then our 3rd branch here, the little 2-wire unit, that will attach to the other harness we went over and attach toward the rear of the door. So first we'll figure out which plug goes where and get these plugged in. We'll plug these into the window switch once it's ready. Now we're ready to install our secondary jumper harness. That installs back here at the door lock actuator plug. Now, some right-hand drive and Euro cars, the wiring is a little bit different, so please see the instructions for that. But we will proceed. So we'll go and unplug this connector here, add in our jumper. Now this lead will route to the previously installed jumper harness up front here. And to make sure that it does not get pinched or in the way of anything, I'm going to go ahead and have it wrap around this other harness. And we'll plug it in. Okay, now our actual installation is all done. We can put the rest of the car back together. Now remember, we already programmed our module at the bench. So if you still haven't programmed yours, now might be a good time to get that done before you put everything back together. Now, as far as assembling the door panel, when you pulled yours, sometimes these white clips like to stay in the door and pull off the door card. You do want to pry those out and reattach them to your door card. They will not snap back onto the door card when you put it on. So now we can go ahead and get this put on. Now we do have to be a little bit cognizant of where this module will live. As we put everything together, we just want to make sure that it's not in a position where it's going to be pushing on the door card, preventing it from seating. So first things first, we will get our window module, our window switch plugged in. Now once we have that completed, we'll want to find a good place to stick our module. Probably right underneath the window switch is going to be a pretty prime spot. Okay, now once it's tucked into place, we'll feed our door handle back into its position. Now we're ready to hang our door card. Now we can gently, I usually visually line up a couple of them, make sure that the panel's in place. Now we can gently seat all of our clips. Okay, all of our clips are seated. Now we'll reinstall our 2 screws. These screws are just going into a plastic receptacle, so they do not need to be very tight. We'll reinstall our handle tray and our door bucket. Okay, now we are ready to reconnect our battery in preparation for our window initiation procedure. All right, now we're ready to do our window initiation procedure. Now that basically is just cycling the windows through their operating range so the car learns what it needs to know. So first things first, we are going to key on. We're going to close our roof. We're going to close the windows. We're then going to lower the driver's side window, then raise it up and hold it for 2 seconds. Then we're going to the passenger window. We're going to lower it down and then raise it up and hold it for 2 seconds. And that's it. So we'll do that now. And down and up. Hold 1, 2. And then on the main switch right hand, we will go down and we will go up. Hold 1, 2. And that's it. All right, now that our initiation procedure is complete, now let's give these windows a test. So on the main switch, if you hold the up switch for about half a second, it should auto up. So let's key on first. And now we're going to lift and hold the button for about half a second and make sure the window auto ups. Now let's key off. All right, we've done our internal switch auto up test. Now let's do our key fob test. For this car, we programmed the switch to do 2 buttons to roll the windows up and 2 button presses to roll the window down. Starting with the windows up, let's see if they roll down with 2 clicks. Good. Oh, now let's make sure they roll up with 2 clicks. All right, everything's looking the way it's supposed to. All right, that wraps up this install. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions during your installation, please reach out to our CSR department. You can give them a call or send them an email and they'd be happy to help you out. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll be doing more videos like this in the future. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time.